Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Welcome to another edition of True Crime Strategic, guys. Happy Sunday, man. Well, Sunday for most of us. You know, we got an international audience. Some people so far away, it might be Monday already for them. But anyway, appreciate you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys had a great weekend so far. Boy, has it been a whirlwind weekend. Wow. I mean, absolutely. I mean, when we're talking every aspect of life, whether we're talking about true crime or even like international politics, like we talked about this on the show yesterday, where the United States of America pretty much invaded Venezuela and took President Maduro, the president of Venezuela, in custody. It's crazy. Watch the video of this guy come off the plane in upstate New York, and now he's in a Brooklyn prison. Think of that. Picture that. Did you guys think that the New Year's would start out like that? Whatever. Anyway, guys, let's keep the people of Venezuela in our prayers. All of them, the civilians, everybody. Let's keep them in our prayers. And let's also always pray for our military service members. If you're an American, they follow orders and they do what they're told to do. So we definitely want to show love to our service members. And we want to definitely pray for the people of Venezuela that they have an orderly transition into whatever is to come next, that they're safe and sound and all that good stuff. All right. So we definitely want to do that. Now, big shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I got big show for you guys today. We're going to go over a few things. I'm going to first thank all of the members who are in the building supporting the channel. We see that Sarah Adams is celebrating 13 months as a recruit member. We appreciate you. And by the way, Sarah, you sent me an email with a whole bunch of blog posts. Unfortunately, I was not able to access those blogs because I don't have an account with that application, that website that you're using. So, people send me stuff all the time, and definitely when I have time, I try and check it out and read it. Just letting you know, if you want me to read that stuff, you have to send it to me in a different way because I can't access it. But yes, for everybody else, please consider sending me show ideas, tips, tricks, whatever you want to Strategic Eyes with a Z at gmail.com. Once again, that's Strategic Eyes with a Z instead of a S at gmail.com. The mods will definitely put that inside of the description, or rather the chat. Also, we have Nightbot, who is posting our Linktree link, where you can get a link to all of the different websites and all that good stuff that you can find True Crime Strategic on. All right. I also want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreon members, the silent supporters, because when you're on YouTube, there's no way of anybody knowing that you're a Patreon supporter, but we have quite a few Patreon supporters. Patreon is growing very, very fast because we're putting a lot of good content on a Patreon. It's unfiltered, and a lot of people like that. They want that unfiltered true crime with Strategic. And guess what? Strategic likes giving you unfiltered true crime with Strategic. So if you want to get that unfiltered experience, go over to our Patreon and support the channel. And, we do our best to give you guys good content. All right, now we're going to jump into this, guys. Make sure you hit that like button, support the channel. Remember, we only get into the algorithm. We only get shown to a wider audience when you hit that like button. It's imperative. So if you're here and you support me, then you should be supporting me with that thumbs up, and we do appreciate that. All right. And lastly, I don't want to go on and on about it, but lastly, I want to explain something to you. That like button is not because you like the topic that we're covering, or you're like cheering along the murder and the misery and all that stuff that we cover on this channel. The like button is for us having the courage to bring awareness to these stories. That's what the like button is for. The like button is because you appreciate me coming here and giving you my expertise, and also sharing this community with you, because this is not my community. Oh, no. No. You're not here for me. You're here for the community. We are a community, and it's the community that matters. All right. So first of all, tons of rumors flying around with people saying D4vd is going to get arrested soon. He's going to get indicted. It's all over the news. We want to cover that. The next thing I want to do is show you guys some differences in the styles between David's attorney and the prosecutor. And lastly, on Reddit, yes, the Reddit Investigation Bureau, the RIB, the people who are really putting this case together, the people who I'd hire to actually investigate this case over the LAPD. No disrespect to those guys out there in LAPD. I'm sure they're doing a good job. Like I told you guys, these kind of cases take time, right? It's not a race. All right. You got to get there with quality. All right. Not with just quantity, right? You gotta have quality evidence to bring a case like this before a jury and get a conviction. So I'm not throwing too much shade at them, but there are some very talented people who picked the wrong careers. You should have took the test. See, the thing is with being a detective is that 99.99% of the time you got to go through being a police officer. And a lot of people can't handle that. They can't handle the hand-to-hand combat. They can't handle the life and death scenarios. They can't handle that stuff. So then they choose not to be a cop. But the funny thing is that they probably would have been the greatest detectives that ever lived, because being a detective is a little different than being a police officer. Now, if you're a detective, a lot of people don't understand, you still got to go get your bodies. You still got to put a vest on and bring your gun out and go knock and break down some doors. Some people think that you just stay in the office all day and the bad guys just come to you. It doesn't always work that way. You got to go out and hunt your perps down and arrest them. Detectives do that, right? With suits on, okay? But there are some very talented people, and you can see they have really good investigative skills, and a lot of them are on Reddit, right? And the thing, I got a love-hate relationship with Reddit, because I think Reddit has a lot of great people like what I'm describing, but also has a lot of weird people, a lot of angry and mean people who hide behind those screen names. So I'm like love-hatey with Reddit. I kind of stay at like arm's length. I don't get involved or whatever, but I do acknowledge that I love the work that they're doing on these Celeste subreddits. The D4 idiots, I think that's one that we usually look at. The Celeste Rivas Hernandez subreddit, like they're doing really good work over there. And they're alleging, okay, we're going to cover this towards the end of the show. They're alleging that David went on a YouTuber's show by the name of Dean. And Dean is like a political commentator. He's very liberal, 20-year-old or something like that. I don't listen to the guy. It's not because of his political affiliation. It's just I'm not into that kind of stuff. But he's very successful. He's very successful on TikTok, and I think he's doing pretty well on YouTube too. And apparently, it does sound like him to me, okay? To me, it sounds like David. They're saying that it's David on Reddit, but we're going to listen to it and we're going to try and figure this out ourselves and see if there is a correlation between this person that's on Dean's podcast talking about politics and his views on women voting, which I got to say is very misogynistic. If in fact this is David, and I didn't listen to the whole thing because I wanted to react raw with you guys, but I listened to like the first few seconds. And if in the first few seconds, maybe there's nuance to it and it changes with what I did not listen to. But in the first few seconds of this person talking, they sound like a straight up chauvinistic individual, like woman hater, whatever. Like for real, like women shouldn't vote because, you know, they don't think or something like that. I don't know. Let me not put words in this individual's mouth, okay? We're going to hear it for ourselves, all right? But we'll get there. Hang out with me. I started a little bit early so we can have time to work our way there and we won't be here forever, okay? So that being said, let's get into this possible indictment stuff that's like going all over the internet. Let's do it.
Reports that singer David is likely to face murder charges in the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. This was a very big story. Sources tell TMZ the grand jury hearing the case is expected to vote on an indictment, and prosecutors believe David was involved in the teen's death. TMZ reports the grand jury could continue hearing testimony into February. The 15-year-old's body was discovered in a Tesla at a tow yard, if you recall, over 3 months ago. The car was registered to the singer.
It's very interesting. I mean, listen, that's what we expect. We definitely expect him to get an indictment. If this whole investigative grand jury does not yield enough evidence to then present it. So guys, let me help you understand what's going on. First of all, my head is really cold. It's cold down here. I got my 15-year-old Tommy Hilfiger sweater. Am I like the only person who doesn't throw clothes away if it doesn't have holes in it? But my head is really cold, so I gotta put my my autographed David bonnet. David did not autograph this bonnet, okay? Bonnet gang, baby, bonnet. All right, bonnet gang. Gang, bonnet gang. Well, when we're speculating about this guy, we got to put protection on our head. He lucky I didn't pull out the tinfoil hat. I'm gonna reserve this for the aliens, but we're gonna focus on David right now. I'm gonna put my bonnet because when you talk about these folks, these diabolical individuals, you got to get into their brains, okay? And this bonnet helps me get into that D4vd space, right, where I could see things, like criminally profile this guy, see it from his perspective, okay? All right. Now, how this works, ladies and gentlemen, I think a lot of people don't really understand how these investigative grand juries work. How it works is the prosecutor convenes an investigative grand jury. The purpose of this grand jury is to do just that, investigate it. Investigate it, okay? So their job is to collect evidence, evaluate evidence, get statements, and that's the most important thing. It's one thing when you give a statement to a police officer under oath. It's another thing when you give a statement to a grand jury under oath with every word that you say memorialized in the record by a stenographer. You're pretty much locked into your statement. People can often finagle, well, I told this to the cop, but I felt this way and I felt that way. It's a different animal when you have an attorney, when they order you into the grand jury, they tell you a date and time a week out in advance. You come there with a suit on. You clearly are not intoxicated. You clearly have not taken any drugs. They ask you those questions too. Have you drank anything before you got here? Alcoholic beverage? Did you take any drugs before you get here? They make sure that you under any medications, heart medication, stress medication, mental medication. They ask you all that stuff. They're all up in your mouth. Somebody said mouthwash and I read it and then I said your mouth. I meant to say it all up in your business, all up in your mind, okay? Sorry. That's what happens when you're multitasking. You're trying to read and think at the same time. You guys don't know how hard this is. This YouTube thing is like rocket science, man. Believe me. Anyway, they're all up in your mind. They're all up in your business. They want to know everything. Everything. And then they put that on the record. So now when you give your statement, you can't renege on that. You can't say, nah, I didn't mean that. No, you were of sound mind when you gave that statement. You got to stick with that statement. After they collect the evidence that they're looking for, the statements, they swear out those warrants, search warrants, they evaluate all that evidence. They make a recommendation. A recommendation means nothing, really, to the DA, unless the DA wants it to mean something. They then take that evidence and they present it to a regular order grand jury. Not an investigative grand jury, just a grand jury. And that grand jury will now evaluate that evidence. And that grand jury will then determine if there's a true bill or not, meaning that this person is going to get indicted. They're going to determine what charges this person will be indicted for. I don't know if we are at the point where they have presented this to a regular grand jury. I don't know. They probably have. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been covering other things, as you can see if you're subscribed to this channel. I have not heard any allegations that they have presented their case to a regular grand jury yet. But I'm going to tell you this. If prosecutors are very careful, prosecutors don't want to lose. Prosecutors and their supervisors keep track of your wins and your losses. They just don't go into space. Your wins and your losses are kept track of. Major law firms in the private sector can keep track. Remember, cases are public, can keep track of your wins and your losses. Most prosecutors don't want to be prosecutors for the rest of their career. Most prosecutors use large offices like the Los Angeles Prosecutor's Office, Miami Prosecutor's Office, New York City Prosecutor's Offices in the various boroughs, Chicago Prosecutor Offices, all these major prosecuting offices. You know what they are? They're training grounds for corporate attorneys, training grounds for celebrity attorneys of tomorrow. Many of the largest corporations and litigators, they go after prosecutors for job opportunities, for potential employment. So a prosecutor is not going to take a case that they can't win because it will look bad on them. It'll look bad on their record. It also looks bad morally Because if you're taking a case you know you can't win, that means that you are, in a sense, unjustly prosecuting a person. If it's clear and evident to you that you have not met that burden and that bar of potentially finding this person guilty, and yet you still choose to take this person to court, it could be that the person is really guilty and you believe it, but you just don't have that solid evidence, so you want to give it to a jury. That's fine. But it could also be that you're railroading that individual and that you're weaponizing our justice system. It could mean those two things independently or at the same time. So prosecutors also have a moral and ethical duty to make sure that they're not weaponizing our justice system against us. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have, even if you have Elon Musk's money, you still don't have the resources that the United States government has. Because Elon Musk, if he was to go on trial for something, he would have to pay out of his pocket for every single thing that he uses to defend himself, whereas the government doesn't keep track of the bill. If they need a test done, the test is done. All of the experts that are investigating a case work in conjunction with the prosecutor. Think about that. You're the defense. You're relying off of the investigation of the detective whose job it was to try and arrest your client. Isn't that crazy? So you're always at a disadvantage. So my point is that if they are convening an investigative grand jury, they must think they have the goods. They must think they have the goods. I would suspect, remember, as they always say, a prosecutor can get a ham sandwich indicted if they chose to. Once again, a prosecutor can get a ham sandwich indicted if they chose to. When you see those prosecutors go, with the police shootings and stuff like that, and believe me, most of them I agree with. I'm not saying this because I don't think that these officers are not guilty. I do, from evaluating a lot of these high-profile police shootings, when I look at it from my own perspective, the officer in most instances are justified. But when you see those prosecutors bring forward those police shootings to the grand jury and they say no true bill that the officer's innocent, just know that that prosecutor went into that grand jury expecting there not to be an indictment. Because it is almost impossible for a prosecutor to present a case to a grand jury and that grand jury not return with an indictment. Almost. It does happen. It does happen. I had a relative who was accused of something that they did not do, and the prosecutor brought their case to a grand jury, and the grand jury chose not to indict. But once again, that was one of those instances where they didn't have the evidence, and it was clear that the people who were making allegations against this relative was lying, and that in a sense, they kind of weaponized the justice system to see if they could railroad this relative into getting indicted, but the people spoke. That's a very rare instance. I have brought hundreds of cases to prosecutors so far, and I've never had a situation where we didn't get a true bill. Never. I never had a situation where we didn't get the charges that we were asking for. Because remember, they could come back with a true bill, but they could decide, well, we're not going to charge them with this charge. We're going to charge them with that charge. We've always got exactly what we were asking for because maybe we put before good cases. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. Big shout out to everybody who's watching. We have over 300 people on this live stream early on Sunday morning. Please hit that like button. I know some of you guys are getting ready to go to church. In the name of Jesus, hit that like button. Let me stop. Please hit the like button. God, you know I'm just playing. Anyway, hit that like button, support the channel, all right? Let's keep going.
And winds were felt in Fontana as well. You can see the trees, the flags, even stoplights.
All right, I think we gotta go to the next one. I think that was all they had on that one. Now they're talking about the weather. That was a short one. Let's keep going.
Welcome to TMZ Live. It is not looking good for the singer David. From everything we now know.
Now, I got to say this, guys. We appreciate every content creator, large or small, and we watch TMZ. I watch everything. I don't discriminate on what I watch because you get good information from everywhere. But I just want to let you know, from my experience of this D4vd coverage, there's some things that TMZ has reported that I do not believe is factual. I will give TMZ all the credit in breaking this story. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, the David story is TMZ's story. Regardless of what you think about TMZ, this is their story. They broke this story. They literally did. This is their story. But I do think that some of their sources have been wrong. So keep that in mind. Whatever you hear from TMZ, take it with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying. Let's keep going.
It is very likely, if not all but certain, that he is going to be indicted by a Los Angeles County grand jury for the presumed murder of Celeste Rivas.
This is a grand jury that has been convened since just over a month, at least, about a month ago.
Could have been more than that. 2 months.
Right. And that initially, what we had heard is that this was an investigative grand jury, that they were just subpoenaing different people to get testimony, hoping to help police with their investigation.
That was based on a newspaper report.
Right. And what we have now been told, no, this is a grand jury looking to indict someone for the murder of Celeste Rivas. And
we know who the someone is.
And that someone.
David is squarely in the crosshairs of the person who is going to be prosecuting the case. Her name is Beth Silverman. She is, you know, there's a lawyer in town named Marty Singer. We always call him the legal pit bull. She is every bit
the DA's version
every bit
of the legal pit bull.
Yes, and she has been. As a matter of fact, Alexa, come over here for a second.
We know that she's been some of the people that she's been grilling.
Coming over.
And they're all. Do we have a boom mic over?
Yeah. So Alexa has been down at the grand jury room for a couple of weeks.
Is that another latte sipper? Yeah, she's definitely a Starbucks latte sipper. I mean, we're going to give her a chance because we never heard Alexa speak before. But Harvey, we've been failed. We've been failed before by your latte sippers. Now, she looks like she sips the lattes and does a lot of Pilates. We're going to see what's going on here, all right? Because I already told you guys, if you're new to the channel, I have offered my services to Harvey on multiple occasions to come there and be his firing consultant to clear house of all those latte sippers that keep giving him bad information. Let's see what she got going on. Come on. Don't disappoint me, young lady.
Weeks now. And they're in a recess right now for the holiday. But you saw the manager of David, the day-to-day manager, going in and out. And when he came out and talked to his lawyer, he made it clear that Beth Silverman was rabid about this case.
Yeah, Robert Morgan Roth, obviously David's day-to-day manager, been seen with him a lot on tour. He kind of poked at that. He told Beth that he really didn't feel like it was his responsibility.
Well, she said, why didn't you call the cops? She
Right.
said this to him when he was testifying. Why didn't you call the cops?
Yeah, and he explains that Beth was very pushy on that answer, getting that answer out of Robert. But he said it wasn't his responsibility and that he just wanted to continue.
And again, we don't know what the question.
All right, so she's saying that she was there and she heard this with her own ears. She's a first-hand witness. All right, okay. Now, the question I have is, well, it's not even a question. It's just a statement. These are the type of people that are in a part of those industries. Just going off of what she said, she's a first-hand witness, so we're going to take her word for it. Because if she's lying, then that's a problem. So she basically overheard an individual show us his humanity. I didn't think whatever it was, whether it's after he heard that Celeste was found in the trunk, whether it's that, whether he knew that somebody killed Celeste, whether he knew that Celeste was involved in that inappropriate relationship, unlawful relationship with David, whatever it may be, right? He heard something that rise to the level of criminal culpability. Because why else would you call the police? Any other calling of the police would be a misuse of police resources, right? So the district attorney is not going to say, well, why didn't you call the police if it was to report a splinter? If it was to report a slip and fall? The district attorney said, why didn't you call the police? Because obviously whatever they were talking about involved criminality that would have required immediate police action. And his response was, I didn't think it was my responsibility. I just wanted to keep making the money. I think it was just my responsibility to make the money. That's it. That's it. Just the money. Unbelievable. Somebody said for Harvey to take his hands off her. His hands aren't on her. I think he's far away from her, actually. When you deal with cameras like me all the time, you get to like a sense of the depth of field. And Harvey is not touching that woman. He's very far from her. I can see at least 12 to 24 inches away from her. But anyway, let's keep going. We all know Harvey doesn't want her anyway. She don't got what Harvey needs, okay? Let's keep going.
The question was before that led to her saying, why didn't you call the cops?
Or something he had said.
Right.
But
Right.
it's
Or something
clearly
he
a
said.
crime because you call the
Right.
cops when
Well,
there's
she
a
called-
crime.
Right.
So
she believes there was a crime.
there
Right.
was something that Morgan Roth apparently knew because he acknowledges it's not my responsibility. Something he knew that triggered Beth Silverman into saying, well, why didn't you call the cops? So it had to be something involving a crime. Now, we know that her body was found in his Tesla in a bizarre set of circumstances where in the spring, he made this mysterious trip, David did, to Santa
All
Barbara.
right, so they're kind of like giving us some backstory. And this is great because I'm actually preparing some pictures that we got on the research crew, getting it from Reddit and other places, that these are new pictures that are not widely circulated. They're out there. We're not doing anything exclusive. We're not breaking news. They're out there, but they're not widely circulated. And I want to, bring these pictures to your attention because they're very, very interesting and very, very telling at the same time. So we'll let them talk while I'm getting this ready for you guys.
Barbara and spent a
In the
couple of
middle of the
hours in the
night.
middle of the night.
Right.
And then came back.
And then came back.
And
keep in mind, and of course, the car was found very close to the home that he had been renting. I mean, everything from day one.
Renting from the lease was under the name of the
head of his
co-manager who was
label.
in Morgan Roth's company.
Right. So it's all kind of aligning.
It's
here.
all around David. I mean, as they say, like it's closing in. The walls. If you're David, you've got to feel like the walls are closing in on you because the people that they've brought before this grand jury, plus everything that we know about the case already, that lines up around him.
And
you've got to
grand
be
juries,
thinking,
grand
you've got to be
juries,
prepared.
The old adage is you can indict a ham sandwich.
That's
They
right.
are going to listen to what the prosecutors present as evidence. And even if this started in some investigatory
I don't
fashion.
think it didn't.
It probably didn't, but,
didn't.
but this can morph into something they're going to hand down an indictment. That's what grand juries typically do. You can go on this fishing expedition and investigate, but typically their job is to hand...
We've confirmed this now.
Yeah.
Multiple sources. It was never an investigative grand jury.
Right.
Right, totally understand. So now their job is to take what evidence is presented to them, even with witnesses who may be combative, and hand down an indictment, whether that is murder or something else.
Okay, so this is actually very interesting news. So what they're saying, TMZ is reporting that it was never an investigative grand jury. Now, we've heard TMZ double down before on their reporting. And in my opinion, it turns out not to be true. We still have not gotten a retraction from TMZ about the whole Frozen thing, whatever. But I'm just saying, they're saying it was never an investigative grand jury. Now, I got to also say that whenever I have participated in investigative grand juries, which has been many, 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 many times, and you see DAs use investigative grand juries when you work in communities that have a lot of resources. So I've probably done more investigative grand juries or participated. I haven't done it. The DA does it, but I participated in cases that required investigative grand juries probably more than the average detective out there in the country. What I can tell you is from my experience that we typically use them when we're doing long, drawn out investigations. So in the instances, I've never used an investigative grand jury for a simple essay. I have used, or rather, I keep saying the DA has used investigative, I say I because it's my case that I'm going to the DA with. The DAs have used investigative grand juries in my cases when we suspected other things going on, such as trafficking, etc., or CSAM rings and stuff like that. So once again, never ever on a regular SA case, you come to me and you're like, hey, this person did this to me, or some stranger did this to me, or whatever. We're not convening an investigative grand jury. I'm going out there and collecting the facts and trying to get probable cause to arrest that person that victimized you. But I've had dozens of cases where it has happened and we now suspect that there's some trafficking involved. We now suspect that there's some type of illicit corn ring or CSAM ring or whatever, and we need additional informations that an investigative grand jury will make it easier for us to get. We need to get people on a record who may be less than cooperative. We need to start pushing the boundaries of subpoenas, getting subpoenas from organizations and from companies that normally don't cooperate with law enforcement, doing creative things with technology to triangulate our subjects and our suspects. Not going to go into those details. So I would find it odd, not out of bounds, because I'm not a homicide detective, so this might be outside of my purview a little bit, but I find it odd that they would be doing an investigative grand jury. Because we have so much evidence already. It's like, well, why wouldn't you just do a regular grand jury and just call the person in and swear them in? But, I guess I think we could look at it from both angles, because once again, if the witnesses in this case, which I think might be the case, are less than cooperative, then it probably would make sense to do an investigative grand jury. Because understand the difference. The investigative grand jury, you could keep playing with that. You could keep calling people. An actual grand jury, you want to get it done before the term is up, and everything that those people hear is being used and taken into consideration whether they decide to indict the person or not. Rather than with an investigative grand jury, if you have somebody who comes and lies on the stand or is not cooperative, they're combative, you ask them questions, they're giving you half answers and all that stuff, what that jury thinks doesn't really matter. Because they're not deciding if it's a true bill against the suspect or not. Rather, in a regular grand jury, that can influence whether they come back with a true bill or not. So, you know what? I digress. I think it is probably a great idea in this case to have an investigative grand jury. So I'm not sure if TMZ is accurate with this or not, but let's keep going.
That yet, or what degree of murder you're going to have?
We do know this. The cops have said, sources within the police department have told us they are treating this as a murder, as is the DA. So they are looking at this as a murder, and they are looking at David as their primary suspect.
So once this grand jury, look, they may not even need to come back. We don't know.
They could do it much earlier. There's a hearing, I believe, scheduled for February.
Right, and in January. Right.
I don't think they're going to rush
things. Well,
that's the thing. It's just so clear.
They've taken it very carefully this far. They don't want to botch it at the 5-yard line.
There's something
All right, real quick. Big shout out to Bernie King Real with a $10 super chat says, with medical examiner and LAPD at odds, I believe TMZ ain't be used for David's voice. I think are you saying AI? I think you are, because I'm finding a lot of people are complaining that when they give a super chat that Google is kind of messing with their spelling. A lot of people complaining about that. Maybe that's something that Google needs to look into. But I think what Bernie's trying to say is, can't AI be used for David's voice? And what happens when a crooked cop is involved with cases? Okay. So, all right. So just to summarize, Bernie says with the medical examiner, LAPD basically bumping heads, she's given deference to TMZ and she believes what TMZ is saying. All right. Fair enough. And then I guess this is what the later show the later part of the show when we're gonna listen to this Dean interview. I think it is possible that AI could be used, but at the same time, I think this Dean interview. Let me see if I can pull it up here. This was posted at least 2 months ago. It's possible, and 2 months ago was definitely in the thick of this this whole D4vd thing. So somebody could do it, but I'm not sure. And lastly, they asked what happens if a crooked cop is involved with a case. Well, if you can find out that the person's a crooked cop, then that person would be arrested, they'd be charged, and then any prosecutions that they were involved with would have to be reviewed or thrown out. So yeah, definitely. All right, let's keep going, man. Good questions. I appreciate you for supporting the channel.
I know. I don't think that February witness is essential based on, I can't say what I know, but I don't think that witness is essential. So they may wait until then, but they may not. I mean, they could come in at whatever point. And
they could. Why not belt and suspenders? They've been so careful and they've taken so much heat for being so slow and deliberate about this process. I wonder whether they will go through all of the motions. I don't know. You have more.
Now, he is not the only suspect. There are people they believe helped him.
Right.
And
in particular, the night he went to Santa Barbara.
Right. And based on what I've been told, I think there's going to be at least one other person who's going to be indicted for this.
Hello, I'm Melody.
Who could that person be? Who could that person be? I'm wondering who that extra person is. I'm wondering. Very, very interesting. Let's go over to the next example. All right, so we're over here, News Nation. What's this guy's name? I forgot his name. He's on Banfield, but what's his name? Guys, what's this guy's name again? I forgot. We did like a whole show on him with the whole Brian Enton. Yeah. The whole what's that guy's name? I'm drawing a blank on everything. Oh shoot, whatever. So yeah, Brian Enton. Yep. So Brian Enton's going to talk about this whole chainsaw thing. Let's see what's going on.
Police popped the trunk of a Tesla that was found abandoned in the Hollywood Hills and discovered the dismembered body of teenage runaway Celeste Rivas Hernandez. There has been a ton.
You always got a problem when they say teenage runaway. Like I always got an issue with that. It's like, we're investigating the case of the short skirt with no panties wearing female who was sexually assaulted in a bar. It's like you blaming the victim. Like, okay, she may have worn a short skirt. Okay, she didn't have any panties on. It's kind of nasty if you're sitting on the stools. But does that mean that she deserved to be victimized? I wouldn't exactly call Celeste a runaway. I don't like, for me, Celeste is not a runaway. For me, Celeste, and it's no shade on Brian Enton at all, because Brian Enton is a reporter and he does a good job and he's out here covering these cases and doing what he does. But I would not consider Celeste a runaway. To me, Celeste was a groomed and manipulated young person who did not have proper supervision and structure in her life and was taken advantage of. I mean, to me, if we're going to say like a teenage runaway, like I expect that like she's always on the streets, just sleeping on the streets, doesn't want to be home. No. She went to go live with the guy that she considered her boyfriend. That's what she did. She was dating an older man, which was wrong. And she simply went to go live with her rich older man. That's what she did. I don't know if I would say, I just feel like it diminishes her. I don't want to go on and on a tangent. I apologize. I just feel like it diminishes her, almost like put some blame on her. Like, hey, if you didn't run away, you'd still be alive right now. Yeah, you didn't wear that short skirt, you wouldn't have been a victim. It's disgusting. No shade on you, Brian. I'm just saying. It's disgusting. Let's keep going.
Speculation. There has been a ton of suspicion, and all of it has centered around the singer named David. It's pronounced David, but it's spelled with a 4. You can see right down there on your screen. The Tesla was his, and Celeste was his underage girlfriend, and he has not been seen in public since his world tour. It was abruptly scrapped. He hasn't said a word in public about any of this. And now comes a new bombshell report from TMZ that David will likely face charges early in the new year. They and also us, we have reported on a grand jury that's secretly been happening. There's been these hearings with evidence. They've been going on.
All right, so somebody said that they sent me an email, but I don't see it. I don't see your email. Let me go check the spam folder. But don't see it. Let's keep going. And he said bombshell report. I don't know. Was that a bombshell report? We just watched it. It seems like they were speculating like they normally do. So I'm not even sure if I'm convinced that he's going to be indicted anytime soon. Interesting. Let's keep going.
For weeks, and TMZ says the prosecutor.
And let me just say, like, you can present a case to more than one grand jury. Like, the grand jury has a term. If you're not done, they don't like doing it because you kind of have to like re-explain the case to the new grand jury all over again. So prosecutors typically like to have their indictment with one grand jury. But if the term of that grand jury elapses and you get a new grand jury, you could continue where you left off. It's not like, oh, you couldn't make it in time, it's a wrap, come to a decision or not. It doesn't work that way. You can present a case to multiple grand juries until you're finished, and then whoever's the last grand jury to hear it, that's the ones who decide if they get a true bill or not. So technically, you want to get it done with one grand jury, but there's no rule that says that you have to. Let's keep going.
Charge believes that David did have a hand in his girlfriend's death. This has been ongoing, and there's been so many different moving pieces to all of it. I'm joined once again by veteran private investigator Steve Fisher, who has been on this story really since almost the very beginning, uncovered a ton of leads, clues, evidence, been in Los Angeles, breaking new developments all along. So, Steve, it's good to see you tonight.
All right, real quick before this guy talks, Steve Fisher, I want to just issue an apology to my amazing viewers. And the apology is that I just went into my spam folder, and I just noticed that I have a ton of emails from people that I didn't know I ever received it. So if you have sent me an email and you feel like, oh my God, this guy, you never even acknowledged me, I think that your email is probably in the spam folder. I don't even know if I can even go through this. There's so many people. And then after a while, it deletes it. So I have no idea on what's going on. This is just insane. This is crazy. I don't know. Whatever. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. It just caught me off guard. I didn't mean to stop the whole show over that. But if you sent me something that's in the spam folder, I apologize. For the person who just emailed me, I don't even have anything in my recent spam folder for you. So you might want to send that again. Let's keep going.
You were hired by the owner of the home that David was renting, and you actually went inside the home. What sort of was there any potential evidence? Did you see anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, so we announced previously that we found a burn cage incinerator.
The private
there
investigator,
for one.
Steve.
Another thing I can tell you tonight is that along with that, we found a chainsaw, brand new. It was with the incinerator. And there's no purpose for a chainsaw to be at this rental house. They're certainly not in charge of, trimming the trees or anything. So, we can't say exactly, it was unused, just like the incinerator, but I think, it could go to show some intent of what this plan was, because whatever happened here, like it wasn't a finalized plan, she was not meant to be left in that Tesla on Bluebird Avenue. And so, the plan got upended.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about the burn box in a second. I think that's what is that what you called it, a burn box?
Burn cage.
Burn cage, yeah. Okay. But first of all, I want to get to the chainsaw, because I don't think I've heard that before, that there was a chainsaw inside the home. Where was it?
It was in the garage, and you know, it had not been used. It still had the protective shield over the chain itself. But you know, there it is with a burn cage, and you got to wonder what this plan was, you know, or what the plan could have been, you know.
Now this is the thing with the whole burn cage and chainsaw stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Number one, a chainsaw is something every homeowner should have. I mean, if you live in an apartment building, you got a condo, a co-op, or you live in, you know, development, you know, condominium developments, and everything is manicured, and, you know, every Monday the development contracts people to come and take care of your lawn and all that good stuff. Maybe you don't need one, okay? But if you live in a house in the suburbs, you have trees around, you will probably have a chainsaw. It's a little tricky here because he's renting a house in the Hollywood Hills. Most likely that homeowner is not going to have that kind of stuff in the house because they're going to contract people to come do it. Then you got the burn case. So why does he have it? There's a good chance, there's a possibility. I'm just playing devil's advocate. It's a good chance, it's a possibility that it could have been a prop in a music video. He was doing a lot of dark stuff. Then comes the burn cage. Same deal. He could use that to get rid of a body, or he could use it as a prop in a music video. I don't know. I don't know how diabolical this case seems to be turning out. It's a good chance it would have been used to destroy evidence. My question is, why didn't they destroy the evidence? That's my question. My question is, why let the body linger inside of the trunk all that time when you had ample opportunity to get rid of the body? This would have been an open and shut case, ladies and gentlemen, if David would have got rid of the body. Period. Why? Because subconsciously, we already know how society would have treated Celeste. Just from what Brian Enton said in the beginning of this show. Teenage runaway, Celeste. They'd have came to David, say, where's Celeste? And all David had to say was, she ran away from me. They couldn't charge him with being in a relationship with her because she's gone. There's no evidence or anything that he did anything with her. They probably wouldn't even have looked as deeply as we've been looking into this. There would be no Reddit pages for Celeste. There'd be no True Crime Strategic covering this because guess what? She has a history of being a runaway. That's how society looks at her. She's a runaway. So all David had to say is, man, listen, you know, we were together and, you know, she was my muse. He could soften it up, not make it seem like they were doing anything untoward. She was my muse. She lived in a very tough environment, tough home. I let her stay with me. Her parents knew, because that's probably the truth. And, you know, she wanted more from me. And I said, yo, you're too young for me. I can't do that. This is the lies he could say. You know, you're too young for me. It's not ethically right. I won't do that. She got upset and she walked right out that door. And I never saw her again. And they would have nothing. Nothing. Zip zero. David's problem is he left that body in the trunk. That's David's problem. David's problem is he left that body in the trunk. So my question is, if you have the chainsaw and you got the burn cage, you could burn her down to a crisp. All you got to do is just grind up those bones and get rid of them. No big deal. You have all of that. Why didn't you use it? Why is it the chainsaw is brand new according to SF Investigates and the burn box is still in the box according to FX Investigates and according to the pictures that we saw that FS Investigates took when he went into the mansion? Why? It's a good question. Let's keep going.
And it's troubling because there's really no, just like the burn case, there's no purpose for that house, you know.
So the chainsaw, he was renting the house, correct? Because it's the owner who hired you?
Yeah, actually he wasn't. It was Josh Marshall, his manager. The owner, one of the reasons I got hired is because the owner was trying to figure this out. He didn't know who David was. He had never heard of David before. He thought Josh Marshall was living in the house with his family.
And did the owner confirm that the chainsaw was not his?
Yes, it's definitely not the owners. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, I've rented a lot of houses, you know, why you would have a chainsaw in the middle of LA when you're renting a house. I'm just trying to think of like a reason for that. It seems kind of strange.
Yeah, it is strange because I mean, first of all, to use a chainsaw takes a little bit of training, not to hurt yourself. And listen, they're not responsible for any of that. You know, taking care of the outside the property or anything. So what is the purpose? And then when you couple it with not just the incinerator, but now a deceased 14-year-old in a Tesla.
Yeah, and I think it's important that I do agree with Brian Enton and SF Investigates because, I'm thinking about it, but I'm also thinking about it as, hardworking, got to go to work every day, strategic. If I get sick, if I miss a beat, I could be in big trouble financially. So I got to do these things myself. I tried to hire a landscaper. Well, number one, he wasn't doing a good job, but number two, it was just too expensive. I literally couldn't afford it. So then it's like, okay, I'm better off investing in this stuff myself and doing the work myself and saving money, which I do. So I go out and handle my own landscaping, mow my own lawns, trim my trees when those branches get too far out into the street and toward the property, trim those hedges. I have all of those tools because I have to do it myself. Well, that being said, they don't have to do that there. Yes, there are trees there. Look at that. They don't live in LA, the city. They live in the suburbs. There are tons of trees here, but they're massively wealthy. They're massively wealthy. They have landscapers to take care of this. They have landscapers that come and pluck. If there's an extra leaf growing here, they pluck it because it doesn't match the aesthetic. They have landscapers to make sure that this tree here doesn't come over this garage too much. They have landscapers making sure that this palm tree doesn't lean over the property. They're not like us. This is rich people. Why would they have a chainsaw in there? They would never have to use the chainsaw. They pay people tons of money to take care of that chainsaw, to take care of that property with their own chainsaws, rather. So, yeah, I kind of agree with SF Investigates and with Brian Enton. Like, for this type of client and even the homeowners who own this and rent it out, a chainsaw is not necessary. Like somebody said, $20,000 a month is what he was paying. You don't pay $20,000 a month to rent a house to have a chainsaw. I'm not cutting nothing. Shoot, I don't even know if they're paying electricity. I mean, technically, you could just be like, yo, you got to pay for your own electricity. But shoot, maybe I'm still thinking like a regular schmegular person. Least you could do is throw in the electricity for me. You know what I mean? With $20,000 a month, I bet you get some heat and some electricity in with that. Come on. Probably not. They probably pay their own utilities. Bottom line is, there's no reason why they should have a chainsaw in here because they're not handling any business. Let's keep going.
14-year-old in a Tesla that's been parked at that property, it becomes really troubling. And, hopefully there's going to be some justice here soon. It's been going on a long time.
Yeah, it seems like it's really dragged on. In terms of the burn cage, I'm not really familiar with that. What is it? Describe to me, like, what is a burn cage?
So it's literally it's a steel cage that it can withstand temperatures up to 1,600 degrees, and they're used a lot on like farms to incinerate everything from trash to animals, and to break everything down. And it actually, the advertising on it is, if you go to your YouTube page, it says burns at 1,600 degrees. Well, when human cremations are done at 1,400 degrees. So this has the ability to literally cremate a person if you wanted to, and makes you wonder what the intent was.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
All right, big shout out to Law and News Nation, actually. Big shout out to Brian Enton. Standing in, I think this is Ashley Banfield's show. So he's standing in for Ashley Banfield. She's probably enjoying a Christmas break. And big shout out to SF Investigates for his point of view on what's going on. Let's go on to the next exhibit.
In a brand new report, it is being suggested that
Law and Crime, big shout out to Law and Crime, Jesse Weber. Please make sure you hit the like button, support the channel, and go over to Law and Crime and News Nation and subscribe to their channels as well. They do an excellent job when it comes to true crime. Keep going.
David may about to be indicted, formally charged with murder in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the young girl whose dead body was reportedly found in his car. Now, if you're shocked, if you're confused by this, if you're wondering
People said Ashley Banfield got fired. Why? But they still said Banfield on the lower third. Why did they fire Ashley Banfield? I'm curious. Damn. For reals?
To make of this, you aren't alone.
I'm not saying I'm a fan. I'm just saying, who wants to see somebody lose their job? That sucks. Anybody, she didn't get fired. They got her freaking name on the joint. Look at this. You can't do that to me. You can't fire me and then keep my name on the show. Why you got that for? That's crazy. I don't know. What do I know? They probably have her in contract like we own the name Banfield. In fact, you get fired, you got to change your name. People said she wasn't fired. I don't think she was fired. She got 2 shows, like most of these YouTube commentators do that are on these online news shows, like Law and Crime and News Nation. They I think contractually they're all allowed to have like their own show. So they have their show for News Nation and then they have their own little side little podcast where they make their own little money. That's what I think is going on. Let's see what happens.
We're going to break down this new reporting and, if true, what this means and how it could play out. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so as you know, we have been on top of this story from the very beginning. We plan to cover every aspect of it as it develops. And the reason that we can do that is because of the incredible support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm, a firm with over 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. In fact, in the past 3 months alone, you have a client in Florida that received $12 million.
All right, hold on. We got to fast forward and playing that commercial.
Start a claim at forthepeople.com. Is in fact the suspect or not in connection with the death of this 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found in a Tesla reportedly registered to the romantic homicide singer back in September in LA. After all of that, now TMZ is reporting that he will likely face murder charges.
All right, but like everybody's reporting on what TMZ is reporting, and it's like, okay.
The private investigator
TMZ is, I mean, it's like TMZ is the vanguard of all news related to Celeste. I don't know if TMZ is accurate, to be honest with you, when it comes to whether he's getting indicted or not. It's a secret grand jury. You're not going to know. Listen, I work with DAs every freaking day. They're not talking to news agencies about what's happening in a grand jury. They're not. So who's your source? You don't know who's on the grand jury because it's secret. And the grand jury doesn't even come out the main part. Let me tell you something. When you're in a criminal trial and they break, anybody who's like on a jury and they break for like a bathroom break, the defendant, if they're out on bail, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, they're all going to the same public bathroom out in the hallway. When they break for lunch, they take the jury the back way, but they come out a side door that puts them right by the elevators. And then everybody, the family members of the victim, the family members of the perp, they're all getting in the same elevators going down to get coffee and donuts. That's how crazy our criminal justice system is. But when it comes to a grand jury, they truly are secret. Grand juries have their own entrances and exits. The defense is not going to see the grand jury. The perp is not going to see the grand jury. Not even the detective is seeing the grand jury. The grand jury is leaving at different times so that nobody intersects and all that good stuff. So you don't know who the grand jury members are. And if you do and you speak to them, you are literally committing a felony everywhere in America. That grand jury member would be arrested. That TMZ reporter would be arrested. So how do you know what's going to happen? How do you know? How do you know when he's going to get charged and if he's going to get charged? I'm just curious. And the only reason why I'm asking those questions is because I'm still trying to figure out how Celeste was frozen to the touch after being in a trunk for the last, 3 months in the California sun. So I want to speak to the source that told them that Celeste was frozen when she was taken to the medical examiner. And I want to figure out if that's the same source that's telling them what a grand jury is going to do. Bananas. I don't know. But everybody's reporting on it like TMZ, like they got the goods. I don't know if they got the goods, man. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not a hundreds and hundreds of $1 million news organization. All right, TMZ, they got hundreds of millions of dollars. They on YouTube, they on national television, they got their own website. Harvey is massively wealthy. And his sidekick is wealthy too. They making hand over fist money. So maybe they got resources that we don't know about that gives them this information. But for right now, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Let's see what Miss Glasses got to say. Kadishalynn. I love Kadisha. I'll be teasing her with them big glasses. But Kadisha be having the information, man. Big shout out to Kadishalynn. I've been covering her channel as she covers this David stuff. And we definitely appreciate all her hard work. She does a really good job. Her and that young dude, what's his name? Matt Thibodeau. I like Matt. I like Kadisha. These are like the future of true crime. Not saying that like I'm an OG, but I'm old. And I've been in law enforcement a long time. I'm new to this space. But I am true crime. That's what I do for a living, man. I go out there and get those bad guys. These are like the future of true crime here. The Matt Thibodeaus and the Kadishalynns and all that stuff. I like them. I like how they do business. And, I'm just giving them a shout out. But anyway, let's see what Kadisha got going on.
The private investigator, Steve Fisher, that was hired by the LA homeowner to look into what possibly happened at the home that David lived in, has finally released the last photo that he saw of Celeste in David's camera. About a month ago, this private investigator came out saying that when he got his hands on this camera and went through it, there were thousands of photos of David and Celeste on David's camera. And when he came out with this information, he posted a few photos from this camera, like this one right here of Celeste, that was taken on December 30th of 2024. But he never released the last known photo on that camera of Celeste until today. He says, 1 year ago today, January 2nd of 2025, is the date of the last known photo my investigation has uncovered of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. It is important to emphasize that law enforcement investigators have access to more extensive resources and may very well have images or evidence from after this date. This is not to suggest that anything specific happened on this date, only that it's the last confirmed time and date stamped piece of evidence that I have showing when Celeste was alive. According to the image's metadata, the photo was taken at 5:05 p.m. on January 2nd of 2025. The geolocation analysis shows it was taken in Baldwin Hills, California. And since this private investigator said that this photo is coming from Baldwin Hills, California, it is very possible, because the way the background is in this reel, that this is actually being taken in the scenic overlook. The photo itself is honestly just very eerie and heartbreaking.
All right, so I want to stop it right there real quick, because we got some pictures. The same pictures, but I want to analyze those pictures. Once again, big shout out to Kadishalynn. We'll come back to her. Bernice, real quick. Bernice King said it with a $5 super chat. TMZ said waterlogged fingers, and TMZ pays huge for inside information, and for our inside stories. Maybe they have someone inside leaking and getting paid. It's possible. It's definitely possible. But we talked about the waterlogged fingers and how that could have occurred if that is in fact what happened. Remember, she was inside of a garment bag. We also covered that. We looked at the bag. People were saying that it was a cadaver bag. It was not a cadaver bag. It was clearly a garment bag with the little windows so that you could see the clothing inside. And even though garment bags are not airtight, she's inside of a trunk. The temperature is going from hot to cold to hot to cold. So remember, in the nighttime, wherever you are, temperature is going to drop, especially in places like California, where the temperature drops more so than New York in the summertime. New York in the summertime might be 90 degrees, 100 degrees during the day. It might be, 70 degrees in the nighttime. But California is more along that equator for like that kind of desert type of environment, where in the daytime it might be 90 degrees, in the nighttime it might be 60 degrees or 50 degrees. So you have wide temperature swings. What you're going to get is all of that decay, all those bodily fluids, all that liquid. Remember, your body is like, what did he say, like 70% water? There's not much place for that to go, for that to evaporate. So you're just going to be, she's basically stewing in a pool of her own fluids. And that's going to waterlog those fingers. All right. It's not going to be, I think people are imagining that when they open up that frunk, that Celeste was like a mummy, like dried out husk, like a mummy, like you'd see inside of a, 2,000-year-old tomb. That's not the case. Celeste was still wet. She was still slimy. She was still breaking down. She was not dry. All right. And so people need to understand that. And so I don't know, Bernice might be right. Absolutely. But I think there are other explanations for what might have been discovered when they opened that frunk. But for me, it's, how do you say that she's frozen or partially frozen? That's the problem. That is the problem. How do you say she's partially frozen after being in California, largely during the summertime, in a closed environment, especially like a Tesla, where their biggest sell is like, we are like, everything is sealed up. Like Teslas have, there was a joke going around that if you stay inside of a Tesla during like a biological attack or a chemical attack, you're actually safe because they have it like hermetically sealed. Like the seals for the doors are airtight, and then the filtration system that they put in it is like military grade. Like that's the selling point. So you're in a sealed environment that's so sealed like that. How is she frozen? I don't know. Whatever. I want to show these pictures to you guys. Let me pull them up real quick. My apologies. And very interesting pictures, by the way. There we go. Open. Perfect. All right. So these are some of the new pictures that's been coming out. Lord of mercy. Lord of mercy. Look at David, man. Oh, boy, special. He's special. Okay. So this is David with some of his homies. Okay. I want you to pay attention to this picture here. So here's David in the hallway. And there's something that we see here that is a pattern with David and Neo. David hanging out with very attractive girls. This girl's pretty. Can't really see much of her face, but what little I can see, she's hot, right? David taking pictures with hot girls, hanging out with hot girls, and Neo's there. But he's never interacting with those girls. So let's go to the next picture. Oh, that ain't it. Boom. Neo's grabbing his butt, sticking his tongue out. Nobody's touching the girl. I've been working on this theory. I've been telling you guys about David. They say that a second person might be indicted. That's what TMZ keeps saying. Our sources say a second person is going to be indicted.
Does that make sense?
And I said, well, who would help David get rid of Celeste? Would it be these pretty girls that he hangs out with? This little baddie's not helping him do nothing. She wants access. She wants her name out there. She just wants to be in the pictures. She just wants the money and the opportunities that comes with being connected to somebody like him. Would it be the record executives? They have already showed us their true colors. They're like, yo, we just want to make the money. We just want to make the money. That's it. Could it be his little brother? There's no indication his little brother has a bad bone in his body. In fact, his whole family seems like a pretty nice, normal family, hardworking Americans, rule followers, religious people, high-flying professionals. His father works in a super lucrative job. He's the only black sheep. The only one that was in the closet making songs. In the closet making songs. What do I make this stuff up with? Who would be emotionally motivated to help David, if not a lover? I'm not saying that this guy did anything. There's no evidence that Neo did anything. This is my theory. It's my belief. What does my word mean? Absolutely nothing. All I'm saying is every time we see David and Neo together, they're touching each other in a very unheterosexual way. There's nothing wrong with not being heterosexual. If you have a problem with people who are part of the LGBTQIA community, that is a personal problem. The problem lies within you. The only reason why we bring it up is because we're looking for motive. We're looking for what could motivate somebody like Neo possibly to help somebody like David either cover up a homicide or participate in a homicide. And the only person I could think of who could possibly help somebody murder somebody or get rid of a body is the person who always has his hands on David's arse.
Does that make sense?
If you don't believe me, go look it up for yourself. Every time you see this dude with David, his hand is on David's butt. Let's keep going. All right, so this is very interesting. I believe that this is Celeste. That nose is Celeste.
Does that make sense?
That mouth is Celeste.
Does that make sense?
And the style is Celeste, the hobo hoodie style. That's what I call it. Every time you see Celeste, she's dressed like a hobo. And if you know what a hobo is, go look it up. It's certainly not what it sounds like. It's just a style. She always dresses the same. The big hoodies, like ashamed to show the body, hiding the body, just like a little girl would.
Does that make sense?
Little girls are coming into their own. They're coming into their womanhood, but they're not comfortable with the attention that they get as they grow the little itty bitties and the little booties. People start looking at them different and they don't like it and they're uncomfortable with it. So what do? They dress like that. They dress like that. So every time you see Celeste, she's dressed with the oversized clothing. Then we go to this next picture that we also saw in Khadijah's video. Well, first of all, that's this dude. Oh boy. Let's keep going. But look at this picture here. Once again, David in a very effeminate pose. What do we see on the floor, ladies and gentlemen? We see the hoodie. We see the same hoodie that Celeste was wearing. We see that hoodie on David's floor. So now we have a singular photo of Celeste. Now we could place that article of clothing with David. He can always say, I don't know about this photo. I never seen this photo in my life. Maybe they got this photo from his phone, so he can't say that. But he could just say, I don't know, I didn't take the photo. I didn't take the photo. He could always say that. You could always, I didn't prove that I took that photo. You could always say that. But then we can look into the evidence. We can say, well, you took a selfie with your iPhone and that sweater is on the ground. That sweater is on the ground. How did that sweater, that same style of sweater, get in your house? You say, I don't know. Well, David, is that you with your piercings? Oh, yeah. Is that you with your black nail polish? Yeah. Is that you with your broke hip? Yeah. My hip is broke. Well, David, that appears to be the same exact hoodie that this picture of Celeste is. Just want to bring that to you guys' attention. So here's this other photo of David in the bed with Hello Kitty on. Remember when I said that he started trying to become Celeste. Remember, prior to 2025, excuse me, prior to 2025, David was a regular dude. After 2025, David started transforming into Celeste. I don't know what Aki means. Oh. Take what down? What are you talking about? Just call me because I don't know what you're talking about. There you go. Hello? I'm sorry, I'm over here mute. I didn't even know I was muted. All right, disregard that photo with the Hello Kitty. Disregard the Hello Kitty photo. That was not David. Listen. That was Aki. She just exposed herself. Aki, I'm happy that was you because that was a very effeminate pose. Like, I'm happy it was a legitimate woman. I was about to say, yo, David, what happened, bro? Neo really broke your hips. We should put the photo back up and make it our background, though. How you got your photo in the research crew chat? What's wrong with you? But no, that last photo wasn't David. The one with the Hello Kitty laying down on the bed apparently got snuck in there. But certainly, I do stand by what I said, though, because we've seen so many other photos of David kind of like transforming into Celeste. All right, let's keep going with Khadija. That was so funny. That was hilarious. I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
You see, to know that Steve Fisher said that there were thousands of photos, and then after this date, there's no more photos of Celeste. And then the very next day, on January 3rd of 2025, David posts this to his TikTok, and it's still on there right now.
Hold on here. Let's put these two together. So, David and Celeste likes Hello Kitty. And apparently, Aki likes Hello Kitty too. Is there a connection there? I have to work on that.
Of this slideshow of photos, and he says pictures I've taken instead of dropping an album. And he's holding the camera that Steve Fisher got out of the LA home, but also right there in the corner is the brown hoodie that Celeste was wearing in that photograph. Steve Fisher does make a very important emphasis that there might be other pictures past this date that the investigators have that nobody knows about. But it is a very significant piece of information because the photos out of thousands of Celeste on this camera stopped exactly a year ago today. Wow. And on top of that, there's something else that I stumbled across that I want to talk about, and it's coming from this artist known known as Skinny from the 9. He has taken to his TikTok account and his Instagram account with 800,000 followers, calling out David's manager, Josh Marshall. He put up like a whole
Now, I haven't heard about this. This is interesting. I don't even know about this. I'm hearing this for the first time from Kadisha. So I want to see where she's going with this because this sounds very interesting.
Slideshow that contained like 2 photos of him with Josh Marshall, some with LA Reid, and also headlines claiming that Josh Marshall got subpoenaed to testify to the grand jury. And he said, Jay Mogul, aka Josh Marshall, took advantage of my hunger as a young artist and finessed me for $250,000 when I signed my deal to LA Reid. He promised he would have my best interest. Instead, he pocketed the $250,000 and used it to jumpstart his company. Look at what he's involved with now, the whole David situation. Shake my head. Like I said, he posted this to TikTok and his Instagram account about this allegedly happening, and he replied to somebody and said that I was already blown up before Josh Marshall got in the picture. I was already having labels hit me up without him. I brought him in on the business, being real. When he signed with LA Reid, he was pretty young because this happened all the way back in 2018. So he was a young and upcoming artist. I do find this a little bit weird because I found this article from 2019 of Josh Marshall launching Mogul Vision and teaming up with Arista Records. It would have been a couple months to a year after this rapper got signed to LA Reid.
Yeah, see, this is a problem with these folks, bro. And I'm going to say something that a lot of you guys are going to probably think is like messed up, but I don't care because these industries are cutthroat. Listen, if I'm one of these artists, I'm not signing with somebody who acts like me. I'm signing with an attorney. Now, I'm not saying you can't get ripped off with an attorney, but there's so many entertainment attorneys out there who are established. Like, why won't you go do business with those folks? Like, why are you signing with the homie? You know, no disrespect, but this is what happens every day in this industry. So, like, I don't understand that. Like, go to Rubenstein and Rubenstein, who has a track record of 3 decades of managing, you know, the guy's like 90 years old and he's managing all these different stars. You go in his office, there's a whole wall full of stars. Why don't you go with that guy? Why are you going with freaking Josh Marshall? I mean, come on, let's be serious here. I don't see Tom Cruise signing with Josh Marshall. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, these dudes are like, they get these opportunities and then they go do business with the homies. Now, there's some homies out there that just need a chance and they get the chance and then they do good, right? But come on, like, you know, you signing with Diddy, you signing with Suge Knight. No. Okay? Look what happened with Diddy and Suge Knight. Come on, man. So I don't know, but this is what he's saying is nothing that's new to me or should be new to any of you guys. All of these dudes are crooks, in my opinion, and they're cutthroat, and they'll do anything to get their money. Sorry, heard some noises. I'm in the boiler room. I'm like, what was that? My boiler making that noise? No, somebody's coming down the stairs while the boiler was starting up. I was like, let's get out of here. This is about to blow. But this is to me, this is not news to me, man. This makes perfect sense. This is what these folks do in these industries. Look at this guy. They don't care. None of them care.
Just thought that this was interesting and something that I definitely wanted to talk about because there have been rumors and people reporting that Josh Marshall was allegedly like 4 months behind on the rent of the LA property that David was staying in. I don't know, but
and like even stupid like management. Like that's why I'm going with Rubenstein. I'm sorry. Say what you want. I'm going with Rubenstein. If I ever blow, Rubenstein, I'm coming with you. Like, why would you rent a up and coming budding pop star a $20,000 a month house? Why? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, David was up and coming, but he wasn't on that level yet. You're like eating into his signing bonus was like what, $2 million or something? Why would you know how much you're just eating away at his signing bonus to pay for a house. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He could still live in luxury for a quarter of that, for $6,000, for $7,000. How many condominiums in Miami and in California in a high rise with a concierge and all that stuff? They're only asking for like what? $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month? $20,000 a month? Come on, man. And he had multiple properties he was renting. Wasn't just that one. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next exhibit.
Was killed.
So this is going to be an example of the attorney for David and their style. I want to play their style and I want to play the prosecutor's style so you can see what they're up against, all right? Let's go ahead and just kind of give you guys an idea of what is to come.
Go. Monica.
Hold on.
Since the moment this woman was arrested 7.5 years ago, Monica has steadfastly maintained that she is innocent of these charges, and she has consistently pled not guilty in this case. Monica has from the start made clear that there was absolutely no reason, no desire that she would have ever wanted her husband Fabio to be dead.
His name is Fabio.
And you will see, ladies and gentlemen, with the evidence that will be presented at trial, not anything Ms. Silverman has said to you, which is certainly not evidence, nor do we believe it will be the evidence. And not anything I say right now, as the judge will instruct you. It is only the evidence you will receive at trial, which you have to base any decision you make on. Over the last Friday and
so somebody's asking, what does she have to do with David? This is his attorney. So we're showing you her style. We're showing you how she's going to be defending David. Just a couple minutes so you guys understand this. You see what David is working with.
now Tuesday, you have heard hours of argument from Ms. Silverman about the evidence she expects to be shown in this trial. But over those hours and hours of slides and photos and notes and texts and statements about what she expects the evidence to be, you have not heard one piece of evidence, one text, one letter, one recorded call, one statement by Monica Cementilli, or any indication that Monica Cementilli ever uttered a word about wanting her husband dead.
You know, she sounds like Samsung customer service. Somebody said customer service in the chat, but she does sound like Samsung customer service. I've been calling them because my phone is my fridge has been broken since December 20th or 15th, something like that. And they're like, the update seems to be really went well on our end. There's nothing here. Your fridge appears to be working perfectly. And I'm like, lady, I don't care what your freaking app says in India. We don't have no cold in this fridge, okay? The water's not working. My food is spoiled. And I'm dead serious. Like, she scanned, because it's a smart fridge. She scanned my fridge from India, and she's telling me the fridge is working. And I'm telling her the fridge is hot. All my food is spoiled. And the water dispenser doesn't even work. So, well, you know, okay, well, we'll send somebody out. When? January 9th. I called them December 15th. They sending somebody out to me January 9th. We're finally almost there. What's today, the 4th? I got 5 more days till I can hopefully get somebody to look at my fridge. Then they'll tell me probably 30 days to get a back order. Anyway, she does sound like Samsung customer service. Let's see if it gets any better.
We believe that the reason that Monica is not guilty of these charges is that the evidence will show that everything Ms. Silverman talked about, everything she presented before you in the last 2 days, has only to do with two things. One, that she was having an affair with Robert Baker. And two, that it turned out that Robert Baker decided that he was going to kill her husband. No reason that Monica would have wanted, no motive, and no interest. And that it was Robert Baker who made that choice for her and then convinced her, pleaded with her, deceived her into believing he was an innocent man. And that the reason that she was caught up in this whole thing was because he had been targeted and was not guilty.
All right, we'll stop that there. I want to go ahead and let you listen to the prosecutor now, so you guys get a feel for her style. Sorry. And before we do that, I do need to show some love to the fan funding, some super chats. All right, so how TF we fee, unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to see long screen names, which sucks. But how TFWE with a $5 super chat says, there's absolutely no way this dude can handle a chainsaw and burn cage. I don't know, man. It appears he may have had help. And Aura Moon UMTC with a $5 super chat says, if you want to see some incriminating Google searches, look at what Brian Walsh searched. Okay. Interesting. Okay. We'll take a look. All right. So now let's listen to the prosecutor with a couple minutes of their opening statement in the same exact case. All right. So this is a perfect example where we can see these two attorneys go up against each other, and they've done this before. Now they're going to be going up against each other, presumably in the David case. Now, mind you, David can always get a new attorney. So this attorney may not be the attorney he goes to trial with, but so far she is his attorney of record. So we will see how these two attorneys match up against each other, at least in this case.
This is a defendant who is extremely deserving of the sentence of life without parole. I know.
Yo, she sounds like, what's the name of that lady who ran for president? Kamala Harris. She has the Kamala Harris voice. Let's listen.
From past history in our office, perhaps had there been a different administration, I remember a case regarding the Green Widow who did something similar to this, and she received the death penalty. This is one of the most premeditated, calculated, devious murder conspiracies I've prosecuted during my 31 years at the district attorney's office. And as this court knows, I have handled numerous cases involving serial killers. This is a defendant who, but for her actions and her decisions, her husband, Fabio Sementili, who gets lost in all of this circus that goes on every time we have one of these cases, he would still be alive today. This was a completely senseless murder driven solely by this defendant's greed and her lust, which we saw on full display during the trial that took place over the course of several months this year. Based on her desire.
My question is this a bench trial? Because I'm surprised that she's sitting down while she's giving this statement. I'm wondering if this is a bench trial, because bench trials are much different. It's just for the judge. The judge doesn't require you to do all those formal stuff that they usually do, during actual, court. Somebody says this is sentencing. Still, though, she's sitting down, which is a little weird. But, let's continue. This is good stuff.
To get rid of her husband because he no longer served her purposes, and she needed to have a way to fund her life together with Robert Baker, who she chose over her husband, and whether her kids want to believe it or not, over her children, because they never ever even came up in any of the conversations that she had with so many people who testified in this matter. It's incredibly despicable as far as motives go, because again, without her and her plotting and her planning the murder of her husband, he would be alive today. But then you add to it the lengths this defendant went to in order to conceal and destroy evidence, and how time and time again she got others to do her dirty work for her, including her lover, so that he could get the murder done and she could take a step back and pretend to still be this loving wife, which we all know was a complete act. And once and again, it showed through the admissions that she was caught making in the jail lockup, through the letters about getting rid of her husband and wanting to marry Robert Baker, through the entire complex setup of this time frame for that day, shows a level of sophistication and planning that I rarely see in these kinds of questions.
All right, so I think she's doing a really good job. I like her emotion, her command of the subject matter. Obviously, she's very in tune with her case. I think when we first covered her, I heard a closing argument from her, and I didn't really like it. But I like this right here. She's doing a really good job. So yeah, definitely. But this is the thing, like, it's like with anything. Like, if you look through anybody's work, there's interrogations that I did that I was an off day, and I wasn't on my A game. There's interrogations where I'm like on my A+ game, So it's hard to look at both of these attorneys and say, oh, well, you know what? She won and she lost. It's like, okay, yeah, that's how it kind of works. Sometimes you're going to win some, sometimes you're going to lose some, But certainly with these two examples, and we're also looking at different points in the case, it's really not a good matchup, because we're looking at opening statements for the defense. And that's the first time her addressing the jury of the case. She's not warmed up. She hasn't gone through an entire case. And then we're looking, when it comes to the prosecution, we're looking at sentencing. They've gone through an entire trial. She said several months. They're going through an entire trial. And now these are the almost the final words in this trial. So I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to kind of compare them with what we're comparing them with. But just off of what we see, I think that the prosecution did a great job in the way that they're presenting right now. There's a great job in the way they're presenting right now. And what I saw from that unfair comparison, I'll give them that, is the defense, that wasn't her A game. That wasn't her A game. I think a better comparison would be both of them giving their closing arguments. Both of them giving their closing arguments in this particular case. And then we'd be able to judge them on this case, on who did a better job. Winning or losing doesn't really matter. Like, you can't judge a defense attorney because they lose a case. Most of the time, they're defending cases where they're supposed to lose. The person is guilty of sin. So we can't say, oh, well, you're not a good defense attorney because you lost the case. Of course you lost the case. The person's guilty. The thing is, did you do a good job at least trying to represent them? It's a different burden than the prosecutor. The prosecutor brings a case, they bring a case saying that they believe this person is guilty, so we expect them to find them guilty. The defense attorney is just trying their best to give this person their constitutional protection by giving them a defense, whether they're guilty or not. Different burden, different standards. Hope that makes sense for you beautiful people. All right, we missed 2 super chats. I want to go back and definitely read those. Let's just start from the beginning, make sure we get everybody. So Sarah Adams celebrated 13 months as a recruit member. Sarah, before the live start, said, I think my title says D4vd going to jail, ? She says he's going to prison, not jail. Definitely, prison is where you go when you're sentenced. So she's right about that. But then again, you do have to go to jail first before you go to prison, in most instances. But she's right, going to prison, not jail. I'm internet false. It's now is now a recruit. That's a long name. I'm internet. That's what we're gonna leave it with that. I'm internet is now a recruit. Welcome to the family. We appreciate you. Rachel M is celebrating 9 months as a patrol member. That's a higher level of membership, and we appreciate you, Rachel. Thank you. Rockman91 is gifted 1 gift membership. So whoever got that gift membership, make sure you thank Rockman. It's very kind of him. Bernie sent us a $10 super chat, and we covered that. So thank you, Bernie. Sarah Adams with a $5 super chat says, by law, David kidnapped her. She can't consent to go with him. I don't know if by law it's necessarily kidnapping. Even though she can't consent, kidnapping, oftentimes, I don't know what it is in California, so maybe you looked up California statute and there's a little bit different. But in most states, there has to be like against your will kind of situation. All right. So, like if we had that in New York, it wouldn't be kidnapping. It'd be like endangering the welfare of a child. Yes, the child is too young to consent to go with you, but you didn't forcefully remove them. Kidnapping usually involves force. Now, California seems to have a lot of things different and strange over there. Like the rest of us, we got like $2.80 gas. Like even in New York, I paid like $2.80 for gas the other day. But if you go to California, you're paying $6. It's a different world over there, okay? So maybe they got different laws, all right? But in most other states, kidnapping involves force. And there's no evidence that David ever forced Celeste to be with him. That would more run along the lines of endangering the welfare of a child or, promoting, whatever. Let's keep going. Incinerator means ashes minus DNA. Ran out of time. Yep, there's $5 super chat, another super chat. Thank you. So it's, more than $10 Sarah has given the show, and we appreciate her immensely for her generosity. Rockman, $5 super says, no, Ashley Banfield wasn't fired. She announced a violent transition to a new role within News Nation to focus on her crime podcast, Drop Dead Serious. Okay, cool. So that's why they're still using her name, because there's not a bad blood there. She's transitioning. She's going to do less shows. She's going to have more guests, and eventually they'll choose a new host for her show, and that person will take care of the show. That makes sense. That makes sense. People want to do things different. She's getting older too. She may want to work less hours. And when you're doing your own show, you do it at your own whim. All right. You don't have to be at the studio at 8 o'clock or at 7 o'clock or whatever every single day and read the script. You get to do things on your own terms. So I get that. That makes sense to me. Bernie King gave us a $5 super chat, and we addressed that super chat already. How the F you feeling? I think I read it correctly inside of the chat. That's how you say their name with a $5 super chat. Says, there's absolutely no way this dude could handle a chainsaw or burn case. So we finally got your name right. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And Aura Moon sent us a $5 super chat, and we addressed that one already too. All right, so now let's go over to our next exhibit. This is allegedly
Palestine and
allegedly David. I have no proof or evidence of this, ladies and gentlemen. This is allegedly David speaking to Dean, a political podcaster. He does Democratic podcasting, and he often argues with conservative people or what he deems MAGA people. And so this is another one of those instances where he's opening up his podcast to people who disagree with him. And on Reddit, they're alleging that it is David who called up and spoke to him. I have no evidence that this is David, but this is what they're alleging on Reddit. And we're just reporting on the possibility of what these Reddit folks are saying. Big shout out to Tina May, celebrating 14 months as a recruit. It's a long time to support this channel. We do appreciate your continued support, Tina. You are amazing. Let's listen to what allegedly might be, who knows, David? I guess we'll be the judge when we hear it. Let's do it.
Okay. So it sounds like you're now challenging the notion that women should be able to vote, right?
do they really use it all that often though?
Yeah, women vote.
But not as much as men do, right?
Okay. Well, okay. So you're saying that men vote at higher rates compared to women. Older people vote at higher rates than 25-year-olds. Should we take the right to vote away from all 25-year-olds?
No, not 25-year-olds.
Okay. So should we take the right to vote away from women, given that apparently men vote at higher rates compared to women?
Well, I don't think they're emotionally stable enough to make decisions on like voting in American politics.
Go ahead and take it away, New News Boy. Why are you MAGA?
New News Boy. Does that sound like a David alter ego? Nunu's boy. Nunu's, let me say it a different way. Nunu's boy.
Yeah. I just mainly support Trump because of his foreign handling. So how he wants to handle ending the wars between Ukraine and Russia, and how he ended the Iran-Israel war, and now he's trying to handle the Palestine and Israel conflicts.
I don't understand why his foreign policy would be the first place that you go in attempting to justify that he's a good president, because his foreign policy has been a goddamn disaster, dude. I mean, so he said... Yes, I can. Before the election, he said that he was going to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine literally on day one, and then he got fucking played by Putin. Okay, he recognized that stopping the funding to Ukraine.
Some people in the chat saying, nope, nope. Some people saying that isn't him. Some people saying Nunu for Neo, question mark. I don't know. We're listening.
Right, relinquished the international pressure on Russia and Putin to end their invasion of Ukraine and made Ukraine weaker, which is then what caused Russia to just drop even more bombs on Ukraine and be less cooperative in peace talks. And now we're over 9 months into his term and zero progress has been made.
People said that David, they don't feel like he's into politics. I think that David's into a lot of things. I think he's a very sophisticated person, to be honest with you. If you ever listen to David talk when his interviews, in fact, let's continue to listen to this, and I'm going to pull up, somebody sent me the link to the David documentary. We played that before. It was Research Crew. If you guys have it on hand, send me the link inside of the group chat to the David documentary so I can play that, and then we can kind of like juxtapose it between what we hear on that documentary and this person's voice. Let's see if there's some kind of correlation between the two or similarities. Let's do it.
Right? Then about Israel and Palestine, for instance. All right. Well, I mean, he boasted and gloated, said he was the president of peace, saying he got a ceasefire. But I mean, what did we figure out literally 3 days ago? It's that Israel stopped all humanitarian aid being reallowed into the Gaza Strip, and then started dropping missiles on Palestine once again. So seemingly now.
So I don't know. I haven't watched this. I'm listening to it now for the first time. I will warn you, I listen to everything. I listen to politics. I listen to everything. His style, this Dean Withers dude, his style is to overtalk people and to basically talk them into submission. So I don't know how much of this quote unquote real or fake David we're going to actually hear. We might have to keep rewinding to the beginning because I'm not sure how much we're going to hear from him with him talking to Dean, to be honest with you. And that's no shade on Dean. I don't care. I'm just telling you from my experience watching him debate people.
Israel has violated that ceasefire, just like they violated the last 6.
That's not Donald Trump. Yeah, that's Israel, though. That's not Donald Trump.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump claimed that he was the president of the peace and that he ended the invasion, he ended the ethnic cleansing, peace in the Middle East once again, but that's obviously not something that we see. So no progress has been made once again because Israel continues to perpetually violate these peace and ceasefire agreements with no repercussions from America whatsoever.
So you disagree that the amount of lives being lost has drastically decreased since the ceasefire has been implemented?
That sounds like David right there. That sounds like David right there. That little piece right there sounded like David. Listen to this.
Yeah, everything that's happened in the past goes to then have.
Listen to how he talks. Like, remember, he's trying to talk a little hip here because he's talking like for a documentary as a pop star. People talk differently in different spaces. People talk differently in different spaces. So you can't listen to it like word for word. You got to listen to the way that he says his vowels and his consonants and stuff like that. How he trails off on his words, how he starts his words. That's what you got to listen to, the tone. Listen to the tone of his voice. And then let's go back and listen to this other guy.
The ceasefire that was, I don't know, sound for maybe 12 to 24 hours.
Well, if you could just answer the question, though. Could you just answer the question, though? Do you not agree that it's drastically decreased in terms of overall lives lost?
Well, yeah. So the loss of life drastically decreased for 12 hours, just like it did with the ceasefire under the Biden-Harris administration that they also violated. Yes.
And it's still decreased, even to this day.
Okay. Well, once again, we saw.
I don't know. I can't definitively say yes or no, to be honest with you. Sometimes he sounds like David. Sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know enough about hearing David actually talk to be able to definitively say that that's not him or it is him. I think they do have similar undertones to their voice, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It's very interesting. Just maybe 2 more minutes and we'll call it a day.
A violation of the ceasefire agreement, just like we saw a violation of the ceasefire agreement set forth at the end of the Biden-Harris administration, which then led to a total ramp up of their ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which we'll likely now see again because it seems as if the trend has continued of, there being an introduction
Jesus
of...
Christ, this guy talks a lot. I mean, maybe I'm a little frustrated because I'm trying to hear this fake David's voice. Picture me, come on his show. Listen to his show. I'm telling him he talks to me. Jeez, y'all probably say the same thing about me. Let the fake David talk.
Of a peace agreement or a ceasefire with then Israel violating it.
So basically what I'm hearing is if a president, well, more specifically Donald Trump, right? Because, libs love to attack Donald Trump on everything. If a president manages to get a ceasefire and another country violates that ceasefire, that's the fault of the president. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean...
All right, hold on. Let's go here.
Artist David Burke.
With them for
This boy can't sing. Listen to him. He can't sing for nothing. He can't sing for anything. Listen to this.
Yeah, ever since I was young.
He's very nasal. He basically auto-tunes all of that out. He's it's all in his nose. Everything is nasal. Anybody who's a real singer tell you, if you went to a trained a singing teacher or whatever, they'd all say, hey, listen, get that out of your nose, man. Sing from your diaphragm. And he basically sings like that in his iPhone, and then they auto-tune it out. He go in, sounding like he got a stuffy nose. He come out sounding like Beyonce. That's what these computers, that's what AI would do for you. He's not talented. Listen to this. I don't need to be. You hear that? It's nasal. Since when is nasal now good singing? You guys know I grew up singing. I'm classically trained. I'm a classically trained singer. I don't sing anymore. I've spent years screaming, blowing out my vocal cords. I can't sing anymore. I don't have that talent anymore. But I still remember the training. And the training has always been, you don't sing from your nose. You don't sing nasal. That's considered bad technique. Since when is singing from your nose, your nasal cavity, considered good singing? That's good singing now? Wow. Anybody who knows anything about singing, you sing from your diaphragm. Breathe in from your diaphragm, not your chest. You put your hand up here, make sure that chest doesn't move. You tuck and you sing. That's proper technique. He's singing from his nose. And they auto-tune it out and make him sound like a superstar. That means anybody could be a David. Just got to be lucky. Anybody can be a David because they're going to auto-tune you. Do you guys know that when you're doing a live concert, they can actually auto-tune you real time through your mic? You guys know that? You guys know that all of these stars, how do you think these people are on the stage going boom, bop, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, boop, shaking the booty and all that bull crap and still singing these high notes? It's not possible. 90% of them are lip syncing. Even if they can sing, they're lip syncing while they're on that stage doing all that boom, bop, boop dancing. And the ones like David who can't sing, they can auto-tune your voice real time. Auto-tune your voice real time. You can't trust music anymore. You want a real singer? You got to find the indie guys. If you are a mainstream singer, 9 times out of 10, you can't sing. Now, there is an exception. All the OGs, the OG singers, they can sing. The ones that's been in the game more than 15 years, they could sing. But all these new artists, they can't sing. They're just performers. They're performers. That's what they are. This guy, I mean, I just noticed it. I listened to it. We got a new audio set. The sound coming through my ears is like super high quality. Big shout out to Aki for Get me this for Christmas. She spent a lot of money. I appreciate you, Aki. Now we sound like we official tissue. We sound like we a radio station. Welcome to True Crime and Strategic. Now with the new setup that I can actually hear well, I'm listening to this guy singing. He sounds horrible. They should have auto-tuned that before they made the documentary. I don't know. I don't think that's him. It is what it is. I don't know. It's too close to call, and since it's too close to call, I'm just going to give him deference and say I don't think it's him. It is what it is. Yo, big shout out to everybody who's watching the show right now. Please do hit the like button, support the channel. Once again, hit the like button, support the channel so we can get into the algorithm. Got over 500 people watching this live stream right now and only 430 likes. We could do better. So I'm going to give David deference and say I don't think that that's him. But they also have this whole forum on Reddit where they're discussing it. And so I think I erased it by accident. Maybe in that, I didn't read it. So maybe in that forum, they actually like go into why they believe that that's him. We'll go ahead and read that a little bit later and see if maybe it changes our mind. And then we'll come back, we'll do another show and we'll explain to you why we think Reddit is right. If we don't think that Reddit is right, then we just won't cover it because I already have said that I'm going to give him deference and say that I don't think that it's him. But certainly, it's a good catch. Sounds similar. I give him that. Sounds similar to me. Anyway, guys, you guys been amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining the channel, everybody. We appreciate you. Make sure that you hit that like button. The Patreon been on fire, actually. We've been dropping a lot of content on the Patreon, especially my views and thoughts related to the whole Venezuela incursion, where we went in there and in less than 2 hours extracted the leader of Venezuela. Regardless of what you think about it politically, you got to be in awe of American might. Now, you may think that that might is being misused, and that's okay. But just put politics aside. You have to be in awe with American might. We literally went into a country. This is after Maduro said, "Come get me. Come get me, you cowards." Like, he literally said that. Like, he literally like, "Come get me, you cowards." He was saying it in Spanish, though, but I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry. And literally, I was like, okay. Now, whether it's lawful or unlawful, we literally went into this country, into a fortified compound, and took that dude. Now, why couldn't we do that for Celeste? You know, I'm going to go to the White House, because, you know, the White House let regular podcasters come now. I'm going to call up Pam Bondi. I'm going to call up, not Pam Bondi. What's the name of the lady that's in Caroline Levitt? Whatever her name is. I'm going to call up Caroline, be like, yo, I'm coming to the White House. I'm going to do the prep. I'm like, Trump, why didn't we go get Celeste the same way that we got Maduro? You know what Trump going to say? Because the parents didn't ask us to. I'm like, you know, strategic, you know better. You know, nobody cared about Celeste. Nobody cared about Celeste. Okay? So I want you guys to remember that. Nobody cared about Celeste. We shouldn't jest because Celeste hasn't gotten her justice. But I jest to bring that point to you. Nobody cared about Celeste. All right, guys. So please do consider subscribing to the Patreon. You want to see those unfiltered stuff. Just cracking jokes. I see a lot of people's feelings was hurt because I just cracked a joke. I didn't say I supported them. I just said it was funny. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, so please make sure that you subscribe to the Patreon. You want a more raw and unfiltered strategic guys. Don't go if you're snowflake. We don't want you there. But if you can handle adult conversation, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. Show love to the channel. And big shout out to all my members who are supporting the channel on a continued basis. We love you guys. We really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. You're the life's blood of the show. A lot of our shows do get demonetized, so it is what it is. But, you know, we're here. We're doing what we do. We'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Oh, I got to cue up that outro. I He said my joke was whack. You're supposed to be on my side, you know? This is what it is. Obsidian, block Aki. We got a new queen of true crime with Strategic. It's OB. Block Aki. Direct order. See you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.
Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
See, Aki messed me up. She made me do the intro all over again. We're supposed to be doing the outro. I gotta go make some breakfast. All right, let's do the outro. Let's do it the right way. Strategic is out of here. Peace.